Hello and welcome. I'm sure you've already read the title and thumbnail, so let us get straight into the fights. Similar to the Espada versus the Executives matches, we will try to put the captains and the S-Class heroes in interesting matchups to see how they will perform against each other. Before I forget, we will be using the 1000-year Blood War Arc Core 1 captains since we can all agree they're a bit nerfed compared to the Soul Society Arc captains, which would make this fight more intriguing in my opinion. Though, if the video gets 100 likes by the end of the month, I promise to redo it with the Soul Society Arc Gotei 13 captains instead. So let us begin with the easiest fights as usual. Of course, we have to start with the Vizards. Rose, the 3rd Division captain going up against the self-proclaimed weakest S-Class hero Puri Prisoner. Both are sweet, so they should get along, but in this fight, abilities will matter most, and Rose can kill anyone using his Bankai, giving him a clear advantage. In a fight, Rose should pull this off easy. That is, if and only if he doesn't spill the beans about his abilities to the caked-up naked guy in the room for the second time. It doesn't help that Prisoner also has a healing factor which he can choose to use in a similar manner to the Sternritter mask, which doesn't require a lot of intelligence to pull off. So even though this should be the easiest fight of the bunch, it could still go either way due to the thirsty Rose losing himself against masculine opponents. The second easiest fight, Jishiro versus Pig God. Pig God eats things, the captain's sword also swallows things, and he also has a thing inside of him, a very standard matchup. Sadly for Pig God, he simply lacks the stats to be able to even perceive the captain, so it won't require much but the first swing of his sword to put him down. Next we have both Darkshine and Tank Top taking on Kenpachi Zaraki. Zaraki is aware of his own abilities, he also is a pretty good judge of character, so it's unlikely he'll want to finish the fight early and will most likely give both heroes a chance of understanding the gap in power between the three. Even a swing from Soul Society Zaraki will be fatal for both of them, and the two don't realistically stand a chance of wounding him with their punches. Finally, in the easiest fight section, we have King versus Zaraki Kenpachi. This could have been the hardest fight to call out of the bunch, if only Zaraki could access his Bankai to make it fair. I forgot to mention this, but the fights are taking place in a neutral place, plus they're all ongoing at the same time, so there is no helping each other unless they're fighting as a duo. Now on to the middle portion of the battle. These fights aren't close, but it also doesn't take a single swing to end the match. Starting us off is a Vizard, Kensei going up against Metal Bat. Metal Bat usually starts off weak, but he can grow multiple one-shot tiers above where he began, whereas Kensei is a gifted combatant, especially in hand-to-hand exchanges. Plus, he can grow 10 times more powerful using his mask or Bankai if needed. Due to how weak Metal Bat is at the start of his journey, he unfortunately doesn't stand a chance of handling more than a couple punches from Kensei, which should give the captains the victory. On the other hand, peak Metal Bat should be durable enough to withstand any blows from Kensei. So if we take them at their prime, Metal Bat should be capable of growing strong enough to take him out eventually. Feeling generous, I will award both combatants points, making this the first stalemate. Next is the Child of Science Zombie Man, going up against the Mad Scientist Mayurai. Both have exceptional healing capabilities, being able to regenerate lost organs even if they're vital, but for the most part they differ in personality and fighting styles. Mayurai is simply faster, stronger, and has a ton of drugs he can use to win the fight against Zombie Man, even if we assume this is webcomic Zombie Man, where he should be closer to breaking his limiter. All Mayurai has to do is give him the superhuman drug to get him to endure torture for eternity. Another possible matchup for Mayurai is Drive Knight, a Child of Science. As of the current chapters of the manga and webcomic, we unfortunately don't know much about Drive Knight, so the opinions on this fight might change depending on the information we get about him from the future. But as of now, Mayurai should be able to easily decimate him in a fight even if he prepared for him based on his fight against Zombie Man, which should be in character for him. Unfortunately for Drive Knight, Mayurai is a better Batman than him as he's always prepared, and if he isn't, he can just do his prep time while fighting. Next up, we have two man's best friends and the most loyal fighters on both sides, Komamura and Watchdog Man. Watchdog Man is a capable fighter who was able to chase away human Guru and defeat a bunch of monsters due to his sheer speed and power. Meanwhile, Komamura is one of the strongest captains who also has an incredible amount of durability. While Komamura isn't known for his speed, if we use a scaling chain from the lieutenants, we can agree he should be at least capable of reacting to faster-than-light characters, seeing as he's capable of at least fighting them to some capacity, even though he's usually not capable of landing the first few strikes, which should still scale him above Watchdog Man in speed, giving him the advantage. Power-wise, Komamura has been shown to be more than capable of dishing out attacks that can one-tap durable characters who are multiple levels above him. But on the other hand, we have no idea who Watchdog Man really is or his true limits. Still, even if we're being generous, Komamura should realistically be the best boy out of the two if they were to fight, given what we know about them. Finally, we will address the hardest fights to call in the battle. Please bear in mind all the previous fights were between negative difficulty to no, maybe low diff at best, but we're now venturing into the mid-difficulty fights to even high difficulty fights. Starting us off will be the last Visored of the group, Shinji, who's the captain of the 5th Division, going up against Metal Knight. The Visoreds are usually unlucky and Shinji might just be the first to break their bad omen since he is going up against his best possible matchup on paper. His Bankai lets him turn friends into foe, letting them kill each other while he watches from a safe distance, whereas Metal Knight is rumored to have an entire army at his disposal. So all Shinji has to do to win will be to activate his Bankai, and then he could probably solo take out Metal Knight's army plus all the S-class heroes we've discussed on the list so far. Unfortunately for Shinji, Metal Knight is metal. His efforts will undoubtedly go in vain against him, since Bofoi is usually hiding a safe distance away from battle. To make it much worse, Metal Knight is proficient in bombs and carpet bombing an area, something Shinji is allergic to. So Shinji will have to rely on his physical stats to take out the drones one by one until there isn't a single left. While this might sound impossible at first, it actually isn't. The Metal Knight drones shown so far are not all that impressive compared to base Shinji, so he should have no problems destroying them all. But it will surely take him a while, and after he's done, Bofoi might have replaced the same amount within that time, so it will end up as a war of attrition to see who can last the longest. Fortunately for Shinji, the rules for the fight says there are no advantages. So Bofoi has to be somewhere in the battlefield for this fight to be fair. So all Shinji has to do will be to try and get to him before he can overwhelm him with numbers, which is something he should be capable of handling. Next up is Mayuri, the mad scientist, taking on Genos, the next child of science. You might be wondering why Mayuri has to fight multiple opponents while the rest don't. Well, you see, Mayuri has canonically fought multiple opponents in the manga, so this isn't new to him. Genos has the firepower to damage Mayuri, but as long as even a piece of him remains, he can come back to fight some more. This is on top of Genos having a habit of overexerting himself till he's reduced to pieces. Also, it doesn't help that Mayuri will have all the intel he needs after fighting Drive Knight to take on Genos. The victor of the fight depends on who takes advantage of the situation to strike first. And if we're regarding speed and stamina, then we can agree Mayuri will find a way to come out the victor of the fight. Next we have the Child Prodigies, Child Emperor going up against Toshiro. Unfortunately for Child Emperor, he doesn't stand a chance if he starts the fight without the Brave Giant. But given how dire the situation is, I'm sure he won't take any chances and will try to be on guard even if he isn't being attacked. While Child Emperor has dealt with ice powers from Phoenix Man pretty decently, he shouldn't have the advantage against Toshiro, especially since the potential man himself is known for his shenanigans to always release his Bankai whenever he gets the chance. The only reason I feel like the fight warrants to be here is the recent chapters of the webcomic where Child Emperor is pretty confident he can take on Metal Knight despite his knowledge of how dangerous he is. Despite the outcome of that fight, I believe Toshiro should suffer at worst a mid-diff win against Child Emperor. Now that we've finally exhausted the children of science, let's discuss the masters of the sweet sciences that is martial arts, starting with Bang going up against Soifen. Both are established masters of their respective arts. Soifen has the advantage when it comes to speed, whereas Bang has the ultimate defense on his side. To be honest, the speed gap is extremely pronounced if we don't highball Bang to Awakened Monster Guru. And even then, all Soifan needs to win is to inject Bang twice on the same spot with her venom. If Bang uses Awakening Breath, he should be able to hang on against Soifan for a while, but I can only see this ending in one way, and that's with the victory going to Soifan. After Bang, we have his long-time rival Atomic Samurai going up against Unohana. Both are skilled swordsmen or women, but Unohana has the clear advantage. The only reason this isn't in the first section of the fight is due to the possibility of Atomic Samurai gaining the Moon Blade and Unohana's lust for a good fight that will see her kill and revive Atomic Samurai for eternity until she's satisfied enough to let his corpse rest. Now on to the second hardest fight, Tatsumaki versus Shunsui. They both have fantastic abilities when compared to the rest of the fighters, one being a psychic and the other a reality warper. Tatsumaki can use her abilities both defensively and offensively, creating barriers that can withstand attacks on a multi-continental scale. Unfortunately for her, Shunsui is known for being capable of breaking through stronger barriers that can also handle multi-continental attacks with his sword strikes. Tatsumaki can fight from a long distance and can ignore conventional durability using her abilities. This will be a problem for Shikai Shunsui, which will force him to release his Bankai if he hopes to survive. Once Shunsui releases his Bankai, he should be capable of harming Tatsumaki from that very distance, since any wounds that will be inflicted on him will eventually be reflected back to Tatsumaki, injuring them both. It doesn't help Tatsumaki that the longer the fight goes on, and as Shunsui approaches his final act, the more afflicted she will be. In the second act, she will suffer from an incurable disease, and in the third act, she will drown due to not having Ryatsu. If we equalize the verses, then she won't even be able to lift Shunsui or harm him in any way due to his willpower. And in the final act, Shunsui will decapitate what's left of Tatsumaki, ending the fight the victor. Now on to Byakuya versus Flashy Flash. The two are known for their speed, but unlike Flashy Flash, the captain has a ton of other abilities which should secure him the victory easily and at worst mid-difficulty. And finally, we will go over Blast versus Yamamuto. Due to the recent One Punch Man manga chapters revealing a ton of information about Blast, I've decided to put this fight on hold for now until the end of the ninja arc before I can definitively say who'll be the victor. So it's a stalemate for now. Aside from two stalemates and the first fight, which might end up with Puri Puri Prisoner winning, there isn't much that the heroes can do against the captains due to the power gap and speed gap plus ability gap. Except for King Who Stomped 1000 Year Blood War Arc Core 1 Kenpachi Zaraki. I hope the fights came out unbiased. I would love to discuss with you down below in the comments section if you disagree on any of them. Nonetheless, if you enjoyed my breakdown of the fights, please smash that subscribe button to let the YouTube algorithm know you'd love to see the final fight between Blast and Yamamuto, which will be uploaded once the ninja arc is done. Thank you for staying with me till the end. Please like and share the video to your friends, and do remember to have a good day ahead.